Hey everyone, Howard Pinsky here from IceFlow Studios with a tutorial that a lot of you guys have been looking forward to. I posted a preview of this effect a few days back and you guys started to demand a tutorial. So, let's get to it. If you want to download the PSD of this final design, I've posted it on iceflowstudios.com. Now before I begin adding shapes, let's go ahead and set up the document first. I'm going to be starting with an 800 by 600 pixel document, which should be large enough for a simple design like this. Now in terms of the background color, it's going to be what I'm basing the other elements off of. This isn't required, but I found that it creates a nice smooth design. I'm going to be using a dark gray. The value is going to be 22222. Once the color's set, Option Delete on the Mac or Alt Backspace on Windows will fill your background with the foreground color. The last thing I'm going to set up are my guides. This will help position the circles perfectly in the center of my document. If you don't see your rulers on the left and top of your workspace, Command or Control R will reveal them, allowing you to pull out your guides from the left and the top. And as long as Snap is turned on under the View menu at the top, your guides should snap nicely at the horizontal and vertical center. Good, now we're ready to start creating. In your tools bar on the left, go ahead and grab the ellipse tool and make sure on the options bar at the top that you're going to be creating a shape and not a path. Now, starting in the center of your document where the guides intersect, start dragging out your first ellipse. You're going to notice two problems. One, it's not a perfect circle, and two, it's not being created from the center. The first problem can be solved by simply holding down your Shift key while dragging out your shape. This will constrain it to a perfect circle or a perfect rectangle depending on which tool you have active. Second, to create the shape from the center, in addition to your Shift key, hold down your Option key on the Mac or Alt key on Windows. As long as these two keys are held down, you'll be creating a perfect circle being created from the center of your document. Now that the first shape is created, we want to add a gradient overlay to this shape. Go ahead and double-click on the layer in your Layers panel to bring up the Layer Styles dialog box. Once you're in here, hop into the Gradient Overlay section and click on the Gradient bar to bring up the Gradient Editor. Now we can define our colors. The color on the left is going to be the color at the bottom of this shape. As I mentioned earlier, our colors are going to be defined based on our background color. So I can simply sample the background color by clicking on it, and then I can adjust the color to my liking. For the bottom color, it's going to be just a little bit lighter than the background color. And then for the color on the right, I'm going to do the same thing. I can sample the background color, and then this time it's going to be slightly darker. Perfect, so now that the first shape is complete, we're going to skip the glows for a second and focus on the uppermost shape. This is going to be the shape that's going to act as a window to the glow. To keep things simple, I'm going to quickly duplicate the shape that we just created with the Command or Control J shortcut. And once the shape has been duplicated, right-clicking on the shape in the Layers panel will allow me to clear the current layer style so I can start fresh. I'm also going to change the color of the shape to prepare it for our layer styles. Double-clicking on the shape's thumbnail will bring up the color picker. I'm going to set it ever so slightly than the background color. The value is going to be 262626. Once I add the layer styles, this will change though. Once the new color's been set, this shape needs to be scaled down just a little bit. Go ahead and enter Free Transform mode. You can do this with your Command or Control T shortcut, and then scale the shape down. Make sure to hold down your Shift key to constrain it to a perfect circle. We don't want any ovaling going on. And once you're happy with the size, press Return or Enter on your keyboard to accept the transformation. Good, now we need to create the window that will allow us to see the glow. We're going to do this using a custom shape to cut out a hole in the shape that we just duplicated. In your tools bar where you found the ellipse tool, go ahead and grab the custom shape tool. Now on your options bar at the top, click the shape picker and scroll down until you see the circle thin frame shape. If you haven't loaded in all the shapes that come with Photoshop yet, go ahead and click on the icon at the top right corner of this panel. Choose All, and then choose either Append or OK. If you choose Append, the shapes will be added to the end of your current list. If you choose OK, it's going to replace all the shapes completely. So once your shape has been chosen, we want to subtract this shape from the current shape. You can do this by either selecting the Subtract From Shape option on the options bar, or simply hold down your Alt or Option key before you create the shape. You're going to notice that when I hold down my Option key, the cursor now has a minus sign. This tells me that it's going to be subtracted from the shape. Once you start creating your shape, make sure to hold down the Shift key to constrain it to a perfect circle. I'm going to drop it right around here, leaving a little bit of room around the edge. Good. Now, of course, what's a shape without layer styles? I'm only going to be adding two to this layer, a bevel and emboss and a drop shadow. Both will help give this shape some depth. For the bevel style, I'm going to set it at pillow emboss. I'm going to keep the depth at 100%, but I'm going to decrease the size to around 2 pixels. This will give me a really nice subtle bevel. Now down below under shading, the angle of the light is completely up to you. You can keep it at 120 degrees, or you can rotate it based on your personal preference. I'm going to pop it at 90 degrees. As for the highlight and shadow mode, the highlight mode is going to be set to overlay with a nice baby blue color. This will add a very slight blue glow around the edges of your shape. The shadow mode will be kept at multiply, but I'm going to decrease the opacity to around 30%. And finally, to finish off the bevel, I'm going to switch the gloss contour to cone inverted. Of course, you can experiment with the different contours to see which one works best. And finally, the last layer style I'm going to be adding is a simple drop shadow. I'm going to drop the opacity down a touch to around 55%. I'm going to set the angle at 90 degrees to match my bevel's lighting source if it isn't already. And I'm going to set the distance at 6 pixels and the size at 20 pixels to soften it out. Perfect, and that'll do it for this shape. Now we get to the fun stuff, the glows. This design will contain 2 glows. One that will act as a reflection on the back shape, and a stronger glow that will appear in the window. Let's go ahead and create the reflected glow first. In your layers panel, go ahead and select that first shape that we created. And then, just like we did before, I'm going to duplicate it with my Command or Control J shortcut, and then clear its layer styles, just like I did before. Now this time, when I jump into my layer styles dialog box, I want to be sure to set the fill opacity to 0%. Setting your fill opacity to 0% will hide the contents of the shape, but it will allow us to see any layer styles that we might add, like a gradient overlay. This gradient is going to be a little bit different from the one that we added earlier. First, I'm going to set the style at radial, and then I'm going to open up the gradient editor to edit the colors. When the gradient editor is up, the left color is going to be the main color of the glow, which in this case will be a nice baby blue. I'm going to use the value 00A8FF. Now, the color on the right will be completely transparent. This can be done by clicking on the stop that's above the gradient bar and then decreasing the opacity to 0%. Now, because there's a transition, we need to give our gradient a color to fade to. Because our design is mostly dark colors, setting the color at black will do the trick. So right now you're probably thinking, well, where's my gradient? Well, right now it's hiding behind the topmost shape, that window shape that we created earlier. Now some of you may not know this, but gradients can be moved. If you place your cursor over top of your document, you can click and drag that gradient anywhere you want. I'm going to place it at the top right corner so that the rim is nicely lit. You can also control the scale of the gradient if you don't want it as large. I'll scale it down to around 75% and then move it to its final location. Good, now we can move on to the main glow, which is going to appear in the window. As I love keeping things simple, go ahead and create a duplicate of the glow that we just worked on, again with your Command and Control J shortcut. Once it's been duplicated, go ahead and enter free transform mode with your Command or Control T shortcut and scale it down. It should be the size of the window shape that's on top. You should see the path as you're transforming it. And just like when creating a shape, holding down your Shift and Alt or Option key will scale it from the center while keeping it a perfect circle. Once it's in place, press Return or Enter to accept the transformation. Now we can go ahead and alter the gradient. Once you're back in the gradient editor, start by setting the right stop back at 100% opacity, and then change the color of that right stop to a dark blue. I'm going to use the value 00193E. This will give a very subtle glow to the inside of the window. Now we're going to be adding one more stop around 30%. If you click right underneath the gradient bar, you'll be able to add an additional stop and move it into place. You can see the location at the bottom. Once it's in place, this color is going to be a lighter baby blue. The value is going to be 76CDFF. Now right now it's probably not looking that great. Go ahead and accept the gradient and then change the blend mode of the gradient overlay to color dodge. That's much better. And just like the last gradient, you can move it into place if you need to. Okay, the design is complete, and now it's time to animate. Now, before I start the animation section, this technique will only work on Photoshop CS6. You don't need extended, but you just need any version of Photoshop CS6. CS5 or below does not have the ability to animate the transformations. And with that, I'm going to take a super quick break, and I'll be right back to show you guys how we're going to animate this thing. Alright, I'm back and we're ready to animate. So there's going to be two layers we're going to be animating. The reflected glow and the glow that appears in the window. Now, because of the blending mode changes, we're going to be animating each of these layers individually. If we were to merge both of them as a smart object, the blend modes would get lost, leaving us with a pretty ugly result. Instead, we're going to be converting each glow to a smart object, which will allow us to animate the transformations. To do this, right-click on the first glow and select the Convert to Smart Object option. Now, do the same thing for the next glow, but this one you might notice if you change the blend modes on any of the glows, converting to a smart object disregards the change, but you can simply change the overall blend mode back to color dodge to fix this issue. This is why we're converting each layer individually. Now it's time to animate. To open your timeline, you can either double-click on the tab at the bottom of your workspace, or you can find it under the window menu at the top. Once the timeline is visible, you'll most likely need to create a new video timeline. This will list all of your layers and reflect the currently selected layer from your layers panel. Let's start with the glow at the bottom. When that layer is selected, you'll want to expand that layer in the timeline to reveal the different elements that can be animated. We're going to want to animate a transform, which includes rotation. To start, you want to click on the stopwatch icon beside transform to create the first keyframe. Once you've created the first keyframe, grab the playhead and scrub it a little bit to the right. This will be our halfway point where we're going to make the first rotation. Enter free transform mode, again with Command or Control T, and then up on your options bar, you can simply enter 180 for the degrees, which is the most you can rotate a layer at once. Once you accept the transformation, the first animation will be made. You can see it in action by scrubbing back to the first frame and then pressing your spacebar. Now don't worry if you see any loss in quality. Once the animation's been rendered, it'll be nice and sharp. Now the same can be done for the second half of the rotation. Scrub a little bit to the right, enter free transform mode, enter 180 for the degrees, accept the transformation, and your first animation is complete. Now let's do the exact same thing for the glow on top. Once again, select the layer and expand it in your timeline. Add the first keyframe by pressing the stopwatch icon beside transform, and then scrub over to the right in the same location you did for the previous layer. Enter free transform mode, rotate 180 degrees, again scrub to the right, enter free transform mode, and finally rotate another 180 degrees. And that should complete your animation. Now, to set the final duration of the animation, at the far right corner of the timeline, you're going to find the work area endpoint, which you can drag to the last keyframe that you created to set the final duration of the clip. And finally, if you want your animation to loop rather than just play once, under the timeline menu at the top right, you can choose to loop the playback. And that'll do it. Once your animation is complete, you can either render it out as a video using the render option at the bottom of your timeline, or you can save it as a GIF to use it on the web. Under the File menu, you can choose the Save for Web option. Once you select GIF, at the bottom, you can choose whether it plays back once or forever. Now again, don't worry if the preview looks choppy. Once it's saved, you're going to have a nice, smooth animation like you see right here. So try it out yourself. And if you're looking for more Photoshop tutorials, you can find many more just like this at iceflowstudios.com. Take care.